4 things that you can do to improve your credit control. Credit control is incredibly important. It's an area that needs to work really well in your business. So here are my 4 simple tips that you can implement relatively easily to get your credit control where it needs to be. Tip number 1 is to have a documented credit control process in the first place. You should have clear steps of what needs to happen, how each of those steps should happen, and most importantly, get all of the stakeholders together who are involved in credit control and train them on how the process works, what they specifically need to do at each step of that process, and any tools that they need to use to help manage the credit control process. Tip number 2 is really simple. Get on the blower. Too many businesses chase by email and they send statements, and then it's easy to ignore an email, it's easy to ignore a statement. If somebody is in pain, if they've missed a promise date, get on the phone. Team members need to be clear on what they need to say, how they need to say it, and that the outcome is to either get payment or to secure a promise date. Provide them with the training and they can do a better job. Tip number 3, make sure you have clear escalation points within your credit control process. My suggestion is to have a 3 strikes and out policy. Strike 1 is when somebody is late, then whoever is responsible for making the credit control calls in your business should raise the fact that that person has missed their promise date and should get a new promise date in place. Strike 2 is if that person has missed a second promise date. At that point, it should be escalated to a manager of some description who can then have a conversation with the credit control person or even the customer directly to ensure that there's a new agreement reached. You've missed your promise date. If you don't make payment, then we're going to have to escalate this to legal. I don't want that. You don't want that. So can we come up with a plan of action? Strike 3 may well be going to legal or going to an external debt collecting company.
Shame.
But that needs to be done through an escalation process so that all of the key managers in the business understand exactly what's happening, because they might want to intervene either because it's a key customer and it needs to be managed delicately, or because it's a key customer and there's a tight relationship. Tip number 4 is really simple. Make sure that you have a KPI on overdue debtors every single week. You need to know precisely what amount is in overdue debtors and you need visibility of that on a weekly basis. If you don't have those things in place, what will happen is there'll be loads of cash in other people's bank accounts that should be in yours. There we go. I hope you found that useful, and I will catch you next time on Mind Your Own Business.